It was always going to be a question of when and not if in terms of the result. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live after that mountain of runs put on by India at the Wankhede Stadium, 240. It was always going to be a struggle for the West Indies, and it turned out exactly that way. Remember playing with one player short. No Evan Lewis after that knee injury forced him to get a scan, and the rest of the 10 couldn't quite do the job. 173 for 8 at the end, effectively 9. Karan Pollard, the one shining light, 68 of 39, and when he and Hetmeyer were going, well, it looked like they could at least be in the game with a 74-run partnership, but once Hetmeyer went, it was downhill all the way on the flat surfaces of Mumbai. Still in the studio to look through that, look through the entire T20 series, and in fact the entire year possibly, because this is the last T20 international for these two sides and all sides really for 2019. Joy Bhattacharjya, Simon Doull, good way for India to end the year, answering several questions. Number one being able to set a total.
Yeah, dominant as well, wasn't it? The way they approached the game I thought was so much better tonight. They could trust the Mumbai surface, which was a big thing, and they went out there from ball one and wanted to dominate. And I think that was, it set the tone for everyone else. And the bowling was brilliant, I think, in backing it up. You can get a bit complacent with 240 on the board, but they weren't. They were good in the field, very good with the ball, I thought, and clinical in the end. And West Indies just nowhere to be seen. Deepak Chahar was outstanding. Bhuvi a little bit expensive. Shami, what a welcome back for him tonight. And they didn't use too much of Washington Sundar, although he was very good. And Kuldeep, as you expect, is going to get collared every now and then on a small ground and big hitters.
Well, we were talking about that. Harsha also mentioned at one stage over there. I'm glad Washington Sundar got a bowl, so we realized he's in the 11.
Absolutely. But I think that they played it well, and they used Kuldeep. They knew that he'll go for a few, but he was not scared to pitch it up. He was not scared to go after them, and I think it worked for India. And what was great was all the guys did their jobs. They knew at some point. You see, whenever you have a tight 240, somebody for a while people are going to get collared. So you had Dubey collared when he came in right in the beginning. Shivam got hit for a bit. Kuldeep got hit for a bit. But the point of it is, it's not sustainable. At some point, they'll make a mistake and then you've got the game back again.
But overall, if you just had to assess the way the year finished for India in T20 internationals, overall, they'd be happy. The one box that ticked today was one blemish from Shami was the fielding. It was spot on and they took some good catches. Yeah,
they took some good catches. I think they're slowly starting to figure out where their team needs to be and the personnel. I think they've found out a lot more about KL Rahul. It's his spot to lose now, I think, personally. So it's his spot to give up, or Shikhar's spot to try and earn back, in a way, if that's the way you want to put it. They know that Shami, if Bhuvi and Shami and Bumrah are fit, they know they've got three quality pace bowlers and Deepak Chahar to back them up if they need. They've got Chahal and Kuldeep. They just need a fit Hardik Pandya. And I think they've pretty much got all their bases covered. So they've tried a lot, haven't they? They've had guys in, they've had guys out throughout the year in different T20 bilateral series. But I think they're slowly starting to figure out what sort of team they want and what sort of individuals they want in that mix for Australia next year.
Now, towards the end, Virat Kohli may have not been on the field, but it was his energy, and I use that word politely for the moment, that really showed that India meant business in another decider.
Yeah, absolutely. And the West Indians must be thinking about it. It's his anniversary today. He's going to be in a nice mood, and he's this nice guy, and he's thinking about the evening. He'll have this nice party. And what they probably didn't expect is to run into this man who suddenly looked at Kendrick Williams and just went berserk. But I think he set the tone. I think actually Rohit set the tone right up front, not allowing them to settle. Rahul followed him, and then Virat finished up. I suspect the dressing room before this match, if not fiery, would have been, let's do it. This is the last match of 2019 T20. Let's kill it.
I'm not sure he's a party kind of guy either, is he? Maybe a quiet celebration. Well, I think it's, I don't think he's a party type.
A little vegan meal and a workout.
Yeah, I reckon he'll go to the gym. He'll go to the gym. He'll have a cup of tea.
Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart. If you play like this and you go to the gym and have a vegan meal after, it's a waste of life.
I know, he sets the tone though. He's so... Oh.
What do you binge on? Protein shake? 2 extra?
Oh, I think
knock it back?
He might have a cup of tea. He might have a cup of tea or something.
That'll also be green tea without sugar.
It'll be something along those lines. But everything's just so I don't say regimented, but it's just so structured, I think, with Virat, and that's just the way he is, and it's the way he leads, it's the way he plays. He leads by example. Everything about him is his fitness, it's health first. It's all the stuff that makes him a great player. Will give him longevity as well in the game, I think. And look, he might have a little celebration, but I don't see him going wild and having champagne and a party at all tonight to celebrate anything.
Also, very interestingly, this generation of players, Virat, the 30-31s, are the only guys in India who really got trainers in their life since they were 17, 18 years old.
Or earlier.
So they've started taking care of their bodies earlier. Even if you look at Dhoni started looking after his body anyway in the last 3, 4, 5 years. He wasn't doing it before that. And a lot of the Indian players of the previous generation, only when they started approaching their late 20s and early 30s, did they start looking after themselves. Virat's fitness is like that of a 25-year-old, if you look at it that way.
Dhoni basically found a trainer after he found a barber.
Fair point.
Once the hair went, then he started working out. But series deciders for India has been a telling tale. And once again, they proved that when it mattered, yes, 1-1. It was a good comeback by the West Indies in the second game. But again, the decider proved decisive for India. Have a look at that one at the bottom. That's where we finished in Mumbai. But in bilateral T20I series deciders, third match, just look down there. Just the one loss that you're talking about to New Zealand. And that was it.
Yeah, in New Zealand as well. So that loss is away. You can understand that. A drawn series in Australia. That was the rained-out game, wasn't it? There was a rained-out game in that series, I think, and then in Melbourne, and then they won in Sydney. With a brilliant performance in Sydney. I think Kohli had a very fine innings in that game as well. So, it's brilliant. It's a quality performances since 2016. There's no other team in the world. I mean, I know Pakistan went through that period of winning 2020 series time and time again. I think they won 11 in a row. Didn't they? But they've started to go on the downslide since then.
And it's very interesting because you look at the Indian teams of the 80s and 90s. I mean, I remember at least 4 finals in Sharjah in a row where we reached the finals and we couldn't sort of complete or finish. I think that's something that this team, you look at this Indian team, they've set a lot of myths to rest. India doesn't produce fast bowlers. India doesn't finish deciders.
India doesn't set good totals.
India doesn't set good totals. Indian are not as fit as the other guys. All these myths have been, this team has done so much for Indian cricket. And okay, they're standing on the shoulders of giants, Saurav, Dhoni, all these guys, they've set it up, Sachin. But this team is something quite else. I mean, if they could go down as one of the greatest sets of people to play.
But IPL has a massive part to play in that, because no longer are these guys worried about international cricket. They're playing in front of 40, 50, 60, sometimes 80,000 time and time again in Kolkata. Mumbai, they're playing in front of these huge crowds. The pressure of an IPL game is equivalent to pressure of an international game now. Yes, you've got a different coloured shirt on, you've got an Indian shirt on, but these young guys coming through, and I know Kohli's not young, Rohit's not young, but the young guys coming through, I won't say they don't know what pressure is, but they handle it so much better because day in, day out during an IPL, they are exposed to it. Day in, day out, they're playing international quality opposition in the IPL. And that is what has helped the rise of Indian cricket tenfold. Sitting alongside some of the great players, some of the great coaches, some of the great minds of world cricket, they get to talk it and live it for 8 weeks every year. And so international stuff is so much closer to that IPL level that the jump is not as massive, so it doesn't feel as hard.
And I'd like to add one more bit to it. Even the little step before the IPL, for example, with someone like Shivam Dube, he's already been under the spotlight at, say, the Mumbai T20, which may not be such big crowds, but it's live on television, it's played at the same big stadiums, so already that one rung before the IPL is already a step to the IPL.
Well, Washington Sundar, didn't he? Came through the Karnataka League, or the
TNPL.
the Tamil Nadu Premier League. There's all of these leagues going around the country now that are just starting to be that next step, and then there's this step. And if all of these steps are only that big, it gives you very little chance to trip up, and that's the key.
I remember this case in 99-2000. We had the series, and the first ODI series, India was playing at Perth, the first ODI of the match. MSK Prasad was the keeper for the test, and he goes back, and Samir Dike comes in. And can you imagine, he lands in Australia, he's playing Perth, Brett Lee is coming at him for the first time,
Yeah.
and he was shell-shocked. He said, the last thing was a week before I was playing Jatin Paranjape, who is gentle medium pace at best in the Mumbai Nets. The next time I'm playing Brett Lee at Perth. So the difference between, domestic cricket and what they faced in international cricket was so high that it used to be a huge and rude shock. That's over. Those days are over now. Nowadays, Brett Lee could be bowling at you in the nets when you're 17 years old and you're the next great player.
Or sharing a dressing room with him.
Or sharing a dressing room.
I'm just going to go off on a tangent here because two names you just mentioned there are amazing. Now, I got my schooling in cricket in the Bradford League, and I managed to play at the same club for a few years, and they gave me a benefit type encounter where we had an overseas 11 against a Bradford League 11. Those two men came and played in my team along with VVS Lakshman.
Okay.
So I had Samir Dighe, Jatin Paranjape, VVS Lakshman.
Wow.
Yeah, who all played in and around the Bradford League at the time. Chris Harris came across. It was brilliant. We had an amazing, and those guys, and Jatin now is, we remain friends to this day, still talk, still touch base on Messenger.
He has a bit to say about all this.
He does.
He's been the selector who's chosen so many of
Yeah,
the sites.
exactly.
As has MSK.
As has MSK.
MSK Prasad, the same. And I mean, these guys now watch so much domestic cricket, don't they? But yeah, sorry to digress. But
No, it's never a digression.
Those names crop up, and I remember those days in the Bradford League, and we were all very, very young, and a lot of years have passed, but still keep in touch with those guys, and it's
Wasn't
wonderful.
that long ago, Dooley?
No.
Just being a little generous there. But on the other side of it, another beautiful story, as we keep telling you, Kieron Pollard, when he walked out to captain the West Indies today, was playing his first T20 game in an international format for the West Indies. He's played lots of T20 cricket at Wankhede for the Mumbai Indians, and today he was on the losing side. But while he was there, it all looked as if things could go wrong for India. He was just the one beacon making up for Evan Lewis's absence. 68 of 39 deliveries, 6 massive sixes. He just makes it look so easy.
He makes
Bunted a few for 6.
He makes it look easy. Also, he always unnerves you. You don't know because he's capable. They talk about these 20-run overs that break the back of a chase. You have a couple of 20-run overs and suddenly the run rate goes down. He's capable of, doing that to you. So you're always wondering, have I bowled in Dubey for that extra over? Should I have just held him back? Because you're always scared that, he collars a couple of bowlers and suddenly the run chase is down to 9 or 10 and things are very different.
This could be the second coming for Kieron Pollard. I think the captaincy, we talked about it earlier, just the responsibility that he will take on as the captain. I also think that and I've said this so many times on this show over the couple of years of IPL, he is pigeonholed as a hitter at the end of an innings for Mumbai far too often. He should be batting 4 for Mumbai. If they want to win titles and continue to win titles, he needs more time at the crease. And I think number 4 is a great spot for him. 5 at the lowest is as low as he should be batting. But in this West Indies side, I think 5-6 is fine for him. He's got plenty of young talent up in front of him that can do the job. But it could be the second coming. It could be the Pollard of the 2009-10 time when he was burst onto the scene and played, just some unbelievable knocks. He's got the responsibility, the captaincy, all those things now. This next couple of years might determine how we view Kieron Pollard.
I remember one IPL final against Chennai Super Kings where he actually was batting lower than Harbhajan Singh, 7 or 8, number 7. And just, why isn't he in there? He's sitting there with his...
So Indian early T20 captains in India had this crazy theory about preserving resources.
And you give him only that many overs.
Yeah.
So what they do, and I remember, so many times Mumbai Indians send out Abhishek Nair to bat, up front. And, you're putting Pollard behind him. And what's happening? Now, Abhishek Nair, even if he strikes 20 balls, and he's not a bad player, but if Pollard lasts for 20 balls, after that he's going to massacre you. So keeping quality batsmen behind, just because you think you're saving them up, it doesn't work. It's just totally, it seems to be the right decision, but it's absolutely, it doesn't work at all. And T20 captains have always done this. It's only now that they understand that the format is about front loading. Your best guys have to play in the top 5. Your biggest hitters have to play in the top 5. That's why Sunil Narayan now opens this thing that, okay, if he doesn't go, he doesn't go. But the day he gets it, you could be 106.
Let's have a look at the fall of wickets and see how the innings progressed. And you can tell that, yes, someone like Nicholas Pooran was missed out today. Brandon King was forced to open the batting. They didn't quite have the likes of a DJ Bravo, Carlos Brathwaite coming lower down the order. No Sunil Narayan up the order. So how much was an Evan Lewis missed?
Lewis was missed, but I'll go back to the point I made at the halfway stage, where Nicholas Pooran should have been at the top of the order. I know he's not vastly experienced, but he's a lot more experienced than Brandon King. And you're asking a young kid in a must-win situation, who is in his third T20 game, to go out and open the batting when you've got 241 to chase. Send Nicholas Pooran out there. Then you've also got a left-right combination. They sent 2 right-handers out. There were, the little tricks that the West Indies missed. I'm not saying they would have won, but those are little things that I think they should have been talking about and saying, okay, well, who's our best option? Who plays the most like Evan Lewis? Well, they're very similar in stature. They're very similar players. He and Nicholas Pooran. Send a left-right combination out there, see what happens, and they, the result. I'm not saying it would have been different, but I think you've just got to look at some of those things.
But let's just remind you once again, the last time India will step on to a T20 international in 2019. So much focus on that 2020 World Cup in Australia towards the end of next year. And this was India's year in 2019, the T20I series against New Zealand and Australia. They didn't start really well, then made up for it in the West Indies, winning 3-0. This was August 2019. Then in South Africa, it was 1-1. The series was shared. Then came November 2019 against Bangladesh. It was an exciting series, but again, India sealed it in that key decider, and it all finished up in December with, again, a decider at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, setting a score and I think setting standards for 2020 looking ahead.
I think they've got a lot of solutions that they didn't have. KL Rahul is a addition. I think Shami coming back and bowling in T20 cricket is important because I think he's vital for Australia. A bowler, Shami's pace, swing, class is important for Australia. You need a genuine bowler like that. And him being back is a great thing. The other thing is that we have survived about 7, 8, 10 matches without Bumrah, which I think is it's also a good sign for Indian cricket.
And I mean, again, I know we keep referring to that, but in all formats of the game, the only person in this room would be glad that Mohammad Shami didn't play that World Cup semi-final is sitting right there. But, he's made an impact in all forms of the game.
He has, and I mean, we talked about it in the com box with Ajay as well. His fitness was probably an issue 18 months ago, and something that, again, he's following Virat's lead, he's following the team's lead, who they demand excellence now. They demand fitness. They demand you to be ready and raring to go. And he's taken that on board. And it's not always easy to take it on board and to say, okay, I wasn't at my best. I wasn't as fit as I should have been. I'm going to go away. I'm going to work hard. And I'm going to fight my way back into this team. And this is not an easy team to fight your way into. Once you're there, Virat and Ravi and the powers that be are very loyal. And they will be loyal to you if you're loyal to them. But once you find your way out of it, it's very difficult to get back into it. And that's what Shami's done really well. I think he's probably about the 3rd or 4th name on a bit of paper as far as I'm concerned in most of these sides.
Now, as you'll notice that none of us managed to sit on the My 11 Circle expert couch, either in the first innings or the second innings, with Joy, by the way, missed out by one solitary run.
What was he doing?
So cruel.
Pollard. Yeah, he hit Hetmeyer. And the next over, Pollard goes and hits a 6 on the first ball. And I felt like crying. It is horrible.
Anyway, so be it. But plenty of you had reasons to smile. Let's unveil our My 11 Circle champion of the day. And he played against Dada, and hashtag Dada Kavada got him in. And it's a namesake. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Saurav Roy from Kolkata went head-to-head against Saurav Ganguly from Kolkata. And, of course, beat him 309.25 points. And I suspect if you have a look at the My 11 Circle team of the day, it would have been very close, the ultimate team, to what Saurav had. Both the Sauravs probably had it as well. Pollard, vice-captain. Yeah, that would have been pretty good. KL Rahul, captain. That would have been made sense.
Four West Indians. So 4 West Indians, 7 Indians, which was exactly the reverse. I think the last time it was exactly the other way around. So I think it tells you the story of the game as well. It
certainly does tell you the story of the game, but dominated by KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, and of course there was Karen Pollard at the end who gave India a few heartaches. Well, that's as far as the T20 internationals are concerned. Let's quickly remind you what happened in the 3 games. It all started with a victory for India in Hyderabad, and then a good comeback from the West Indies in Thiruvananthapuram on the 8th of December, and then at the Wankhede Stadium, the decider, India, the first match in this series that's been won by a team batting first in a trend that's been reversed in the last couple of years or so. Now, everything moves on to the ODI series, all starting down south in Chennai. The first one-day international will be on the 15th of December. 2 matches on Sundays, 15th and 22nd, with one sandwiched on a Wednesday in between. Should be quite a cracking series with a change of format, but between these two, I think you've got a pretty much a nucleus of the side that remains the same between these two formats.
Yeah, very, very similar, aren't they? Both these sides are probably looking at 8 or 9 of those players can play in both formats of the game and doing it generally pretty well. I think this was the West Indies' best chance for mine. I don't see them being as competitive in the one-day internationals. I think India's ODI side is probably just that step above where the West Indies are at the moment, and I'm not sure that I can see the West Indies taking a game off them unless somebody does something miraculously.
And of course, Mayank Agarwal, a big opportunity for him again. He's proved it time and time again in the test format, but as you can see, he's in there. There's no Shikhar Dhawan and there is no Sanju Samson. So Manish Pandey sticks in there. So again, a good chance, even if you look at this shortest format of the game, for all these players to finish the year on a high.
And I think Mayank Agarwal has deserved the kind of form that he's shown in Vijay Hazare, the kind of, whenever he's got a chance, he has proved himself. And there's absolutely no doubt that he deserves this chance. Just look at that record. I mean, an average of 50 plus in list A cricket is a sensational average. Remember, a lot of the pitches that, list A cricket happens on can be dodgy pitches as well. I mean, if you're playing, there's every now and then you hit really bad pitches because they're not as curated as well as your normal pitches are. And to maintain 50 plus in that is a serious number. It's a very serious number. So he deserves this chance. And look, in the beginning, he was profligate. He'd get chance in the IPL and he'd just throw them away. Nice 25s and 30s. Now he's just hit his stride and he's counting, making the big ones count. And that's important.
Is Chennai better at the moment? I mean, what we saw in the IPL last year, it was ragging square from ball one.
Well, they had that situation in Chennai where they actually cordoned off the square and had to fix it. But I think we'll only have to wait for the morning of the game to see what they've done with it.
Down there? I mean, because if it's going to do that, you play both Chahal and Kuldeep, Kedar Jadhav to bowl a bit of that round arm, over arm, side arm stuff that he bowls. I mean, you go in with 2 spinners, genuinely 2 spinners, don't you? And Kedar Jadhav.
Pick us an 11 from here.
Well, the first few take the names, don't they? 1, 2, 3. So Kohli, Sharma, and Mayank Agarwal. Rishabh Pant has to play.
KL Rahul after today's performance.
And KL Rahul.
He and Mayank Agarwal are best of friends. Are they going to be fighting for a spot?
No, I don't think so. Pick them both. Shreyas Iyer doesn't play. Jadeja doesn't play. Shivam Dube doesn't play. Deepak Chahar does not play. There you go. There's my team.
Yeah,
Put that in your My 11 circle.
I'll be surprised. Deepak Chahar plays for the CSK in the IPL, so they're giving him a fairly extended run. I'll be surprised if he doesn't play, but I'd have to say on form he's the third pacer for me today, definitely. And if the ball doesn't swing, and even in a place like Chennai, it wears off pretty early. Yeah.
My only reason for even thinking of him possibly getting a look in is because of it's his home ground.
Yeah, exactly.
In the IPL.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason you could be playing him. But 4 overs versus 10 overs, and remember, Deepak is not the same bowler if the ball stops swinging. Mm-hmm.
What about the West Indies? Again, many similar names in there, but they do have a couple of key players who come in. Shai Hope being the name that always comes to mind. He did end up playing one of the T20 internationals in Lucknow as a last-minute replacement, but generally is one of them. Sunil Ambrose is one of them. Evan Lewis will be a question mark for that particular series because of the injury, but otherwise for someone like Kimo Paul, who generally walks into this lineup, and now they've found Roston Chase as someone in that middle order.
Yeah, they have. Alzari Joseph, does he come back into contention as well? Again, if it's going to turn, Hayden Walsh Jr., Kyrie Pierre, maybe they play a role with the ball. So surprising not to see Fabian Allen. Fabian Allen for I think he's a very good cricketer. I think he's an underrated cricketer at times. He might have picked up an injury, so if that's the case, I thought he was in this T20 squad as well. But look, it's surprising that he doesn't play more for the West Indies for mine. So he's another guy that I think in that all-rounder mould that they need to use and probably look forward to using in Australia.
And I'm a huge fan of one more name in there, Romario Shepherd. I mentioned him earlier. He's good, pretty decent with his pace and hits the ball hard down the order.
Yeah, you could be seeing them play for 4 all-rounders. I mean, if you look at Romario Chase as an all-rounder as well, don't be surprised because fast bowlers will not have much to do out here. I mean, whether we like it or not, they may play one of them, play Cottrell or one of them, but you're not really going to have a lot of fast bowlers running in. This is not Mumbai. This is not the Wankhede. So it's going to be a completely different surface. Be likely to see long batting orders, batting up to 8 and maybe 9. Lots of all-rounders packing the middle this thing and just hoping that I have enough bowling variations to cover if somebody gets hit.
Yeah, probably enough tips in there when you start thinking early, start planning early for your My 11 Circle team. I know most of you have it already in case you don't download the app and your opponent remains the same. You can, of course, play against yourself and test your own wits, but Dada's always looking over your shoulder and you don't have to be called Saurav or be from Calcutta to win, even though that happened today. Everyone will get a chance, we promise you that. But we just have one question to be answered today, and that is our joy factor question. Very relevant, very topical. Give us the answer.
Okay, this question is all about Mumbai batsmen. There are quite a few. Rohit Sharma did well today. Obviously, Sachin got his Ranji century in debut today, but the first Bombay-born batsman to score a test century was not an Indian.
English?
Douglas Jardine, born in Malabar Hill, he scored a test century against the West Indies 33. In fact, given the fact that he reached the 90s quite a few times, that was the only test century he got. It's the only test century he got. He never got another test century, which is interesting. But
did he reach the 90s in his life?
He reached the... No, would he? No.
I don't think he did he?
I don't think he did. He went early. I think he went in his 70s or 80s.
That's a proper joy question. I can tell you that. If it's one of those, if you were sitting in a live quiz...
Bodyline, wasn't it? Douglas Jardine, Bodyline?
Yeah.
Okay, who's our winner for this particular question or answer? Let's go and find out who our winner is for today's Joy Factor question. And it is Siddhant Khajuria, Sid RK27. He's won a few in the past, but it was one of those where you need some time to figure it out.
Yeah, and I think he's got 2 in a row now. He got the last one as well. So he's on a bit of a streak.
He is.
Certainly is a bit of a streak. But before you leave you, Simon, I've got to get a quick word about what's not going to be an early morning start. It's going to be a good time for all of us.
Yeah.
The Pink Ball Test match in Perth.
Well, it's so much better to be here, to be honest with you, because if I'm not going to be in Perth, New Zealand is poor time. We can watch it in the afternoon, but it gets too late. But 10:30 start tomorrow morning, it'll be nice. Looking forward to it. I think if New Zealand can get through this Test match, they're every chance in this series, because Melbourne generally quite flat. I know they had that game called off at the MCG this week for a little bit of a sporting through the top pitch. But New Zealand's chances in Melbourne and Sydney, I think, are very good. Very similar to pitches in New Zealand. So I think their chances there are good. If they can get through, scrape through this Perth Test match with a draw or a win, dare I say it? I think the chances in the series are very good. But I'm really looking forward to it. That pitch at Optus Oval is very fast, very bouncy. We've got, I think, the better swing bowlers. They've got the better bounce bowlers. So if it's a little bit humid, I see it's been about 40-odd degrees in Perth in the last few days. If New Zealand can cope with the heat, get a bit of swing, and if Trent Bolt's fit, there's a lot of ifs there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
It's a stretch.
But we look forward to that and look forward to so much more cricket coming here. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Simon. We'll just leave you with the thoughts of Virat Kohli, who, of course, was wanting to have a good party for his 2nd anniversary. Never mind if it's going to be in the gym or over green tea. At the end of the day, I think the biggest gift he would have wanted was a victory from Team India, and that's what he got. So a happy anniversary to the Kohlis. And well done to Team India. We'll be back with the longer format of the game, 50 overs on the 15th. Until we see you then, My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Bye-bye.